Sweet. Screen share. Okay. Can you guys see it now?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So welcome everybody. This is the first meeting of the Intro Mechatronics track. So let's begin. So an overview of the night. So we're going to go do a bunch of overviews of the club, intro in general, and then Intro Mechatronics. We will introduce the mentors. We'll look at some past AeroNU mechatronics work. Then we'll have a time where everyone's going to go around and introduce themselves. We're going to talk a little bit about the effects of COVID-19 on the club and specifically this track and intro. We'll go through a plan of the semester, an overview of the project, expectations of the mentors, of you guys, and then we'll go through some software downloads and account setup and then some questions. And that'll be it for the night. So before I get going, I'd like to introduce myself. So for those of you who went to one of the two track exploration meetings or Fall Fest, you might have talked to me before. But for those of you who didn't or might forget, hi, I'm Scott. I'm the track lead for Intro Mechatronics. I'm a fourth year Mechie from Massachusetts. This is my fourth year in the club. As a freshman, I did mostly launch vehicles, so like the airframe side of things. About midway through my sophomore year, which was early 2019, I started moving over to the payload side of things, where I've kind of been ever since, which is where I am here today in the mechatronics side. I was the lab manager this past spring and was kind of doing some of that lab work before as well. So if you have questions about the lab, I might be able to answer those. I'm a additive manufacturing enthusiast. That's a nice way to put it. A lot of people would call me an addict. I like 3D printing a lot. Other interests, robotics and Boston sports. Big Boston sports fan. So yeah. So intro to AeroNU. So you've probably seen from kickoff, for those of you who went, we're a group of students passionate about all things aerospace. So Northeastern doesn't have an aerospace major. So for all intents and purposes, aerospace and U is Northeastern's aerospace major. Our main goal is to teach and learn engineering. There's a wide variety of work that we do. As you can see from these pictures and all the stuff we've talked about, we do drones, fixed wing planes, rockets, and all these mechanisms and payloads and stuff that go inside of them. So, we're really here to share our knowledge and our interests with each other and to have fun. In terms of intro specifically, intro itself has had kind of a long history in the club, although not in its current form. But through all of its iterations, it's sought to recruit and train new club members. So we recognize that the work that we do can be pretty technically complex. And what we're trying to do is kind of bring that down, make it less scary, and kind of give you guys an introduction to the skills and concepts required to work on those higher level projects. So initially, intro was really only focused on the airframe side of things. As you can see in this picture, actually, all of the circled people are intro mentors now. So this was us starting our freshman year, which now feels like a very long time ago. But we all kind of got our start through one of these introduction programs. And what we've kind of done is reimagine it with this track format. This is brand new this year. And because the club has evolved in our time here, we've kind of tried to bring intro up to date and modernize it with the work that the club does, so that we can teach you guys all of the specific skills and different disciplines that the club now focuses on. So mechatronics specifically, so the high level goal here is to learn mechanical design and mechatronic systems. So kind of where robotics, mechanisms, electronics all kind of converge. So the main skills that you guys are going to look at is breaking down engineering challenges and following the design process, manufacturing skills, prototyping, iteration, and then learning at the high level all the skills necessary to work on mechatronics projects in the club at a higher level. So who are the mentors? The next couple slides are for each of the other mentors aside from me. So I'm going to hand this off to them so that they can introduce themselves and get to know you guys. we'll start off with Andy.
Hello, I'm a sophomore mechie. That is second year, and I like building anything. So I do a lot of different things in this club, sort of a crossover between airframe and internal mechatronics type stuff for rockets. So I've been doing this for about a year or so, and learning a ton. It's a great club. Um, that's what it's all about.
Hey, I'm Bryce. I'm a fourth year Mechie. I've been in the club the whole time, so I've been around the block a little bit. I like to take apart mechanical things that people throw away. So there's a picture of Professor Minus's old printer that she left in Forsyth one night, and I took apart. My roommates found me in a pile of parts, and it was great. Yeah, I like mechatronics stuff. Happy to mentor y'all.
All right, hey everyone. I'm Peyton. I'm a fourth year Mechie out of 5 years. Most of what I've done at Northeastern so far has been robotics, actually with the robotics club. But I'm mainly focused in that interdisciplinary nature of mechanical and electrical systems, which is where I find myself here. I've over the years gotten more involved with the rocketry club. And what else did I write here? Oh yeah, I love working on like the definition of a product, making sure you're not just making something that works, but something that like does what you want it to do. Big car nut, and brevity is not one of my strong suits. So I'll end it there.
Hey guys, I'm Emma. I'm a third year Mechie. I have been in the club since I was a freshman. Started out doing rockets, did a rover last year. Now I'm here. Yeah, much like Peyton, the intersection of electronics and mechanical stuff is often where the cool stuff is. And we also like to joke that Peyton and I, our word counts balance each other out. So, yeah.
Hey, I'm Nathan. I'm a third year Mechie. This is only my second year in AeroNU. Last year I also worked on the rover and the parafoil system for it, which never really existed. I'm currently on co-op in the Oceanographic Systems Laboratory at PUI, where I build underwater vehicles, like the ones in the picture there.
Cool. So now that we've introduced the mentors, something I wanted to do is to introduce you guys to some of the mechatronics work that the club's done in the past. Some of you guys had questions about this during the track exploration period, and I kind of briefly went over it because we didn't have a ton of time. But I'd like to kind of give you guys a better sense of some of the stuff that we do. So one of the main things, and actually is probably the most similar to the work that you guys will be doing in intro, is rovers. So rovers are, in terms of what the club defines it as, some robotic system that we put inside the rocket that will eject from the rocket either in the air or once the rocket lands back on the ground, land if it was ejected in the air, and then do some set of tasks. So on the left, you see the 2018, 2019 rover that we built, and then on the right you see the 2019-2020 rover that we built. These were both for competition teams. So in 2018-2019 we were a part of the Battle of the Rockets competition, and from 2019 to 2020 we were in the NASA USLI, which is University Student Launch Initiative, competition. So I think that we have a video. We do. So this was the this is a video of the this one moving. We've built a lot more complicated systems since. This kind of shows our roots and where we've gone to. So the premise of this competition was that we had to build a system that collected a soil sample and moved, but the caveat was it couldn't move with wheels or with tank treads. So we had to come up with a locomotion system that would work in a field without those two components. So we came up with this whole body flipping mechanism as a way to accomplish that. And then this one over here, which, as we often say, is much heavier than it looks. There's a lot going on in this thing. So this was a competition where we similarly had to have a payload that went a rocket. It had to move across the ground to one of 5 designated locations in the big launch field, collect a sample of simulated lunar ice, which was basically salt, and then it had to move that sample an additional distance. So learning from some of our mistakes the prior year, we developed a more robust locomotion system that made use of these legs that would swing over the top in a set patterns to allow it to get over different obstacles. Because all 6 of these are independent, it allowed us a wide degree of variability in the different gates of walk that we could give it. These tops scoop, this on the top and bottom, there's these scoops here that would collect the sample. And because the locomotion system and the sample collection system works on either side, it was resistant to problems based on which orientation it landed in. So there wasn't actually a true top or bottom, which was cool. There was a bunch of other stuff going on in here. A lot of us in this call worked on this, a lot of the mentors. So if you guys have questions about it at the end or just want to chat about it, let us know. There was a lot of really fun stuff in here. So some additional work that we do more on the rocket side of things is dual deploy. So this is one of the more common, or one of the most iterated on, I guess, electromechanical mechatronics mechanisms that are in our higher technical skill rockets. So the concept of dual deploy is that, so for those of you who don't know, the way that parachutes work in rockets are you have them inside of the hollow tube of the rocket, and then at some point there's a separation event that causes the tube to separate at a like predefined breakpoint. It's not like you're blowing the rocket up or anything. The way that typically this is accomplished is black powder charges will go off, and the 2 sections are shear pinned together with just these nylon screws that are intended to break. And then the parachute is pulled out and it's attached with shock cord to either side of the rocket. But what this means is that if you want multiple parachutes of different sizes or whatnot, you need a different section of rocket for each one of these parachutes, which can become a problem on larger rockets when you're trying to optimize space. And it just becomes, requires, if you're every single parachute, you need a whole new set of recovery electronics and whatnot. It gets kind of complicated. So something that we've tried to do is put multiple parachutes inside of the same section, and the way that you can deploy at different times. And so the way that we do this is through these dual deploy mechanisms, which actually now I believe Andy can speak more to this, but I believe there's a triple deploy mechanism being worked on, where you put 2 parachutes inside the same section of rocket, and then the blast charge will go off to put the first one out, but there's some kind of latch system holding the second parachute in. And then with a separate signal later on, you can let go, and then that other parachute will come out, despite the fact that it was open the whole time. The section of rocket was open the whole time. So this is super useful to us, and is kind of fundamental to our ability to build the modern rockets that we do now. So, this is
there's a triple deploy picture. I don't know why I think I just put it in there. So if you if you close out of the presentation, then open it again, it'll pop
fun.
up. Yeah, that's what was supposed to be there. Sorry.
Nope, all good. Yep,
That's why it looked all weird.
Yeah, is there anything else you wanted to add, Andy? This is your
that
baby,
thing,
so.
That thing also includes mechanical separation, so you don't need to blow things up, which is nice. We'll see if that works on October 3rd at Franklin Park. Maybe.
Yep, so that's some of the other stuff that we do. And then there's other mechatronics work that I'm just going to file under the other category because there's not enough other stuff that we've done like it. So last year, as I mentioned, there was that Rex rover walking payload. And an initial concept that we had for that was that instead of making it walk across the field to one of those 5 locations, that we would be able to have it use a parafoil mechanism, which is, for those of you who don't know, a guided parachute, to get it close to one of the locations, and then it would land detached from it, and then it would walk the rest of the way. This ended up not being incorporated into the final design, mainly due to how big it was paired with the rover, and the fact that we didn't fully know what we were doing with parafoils. But it is worth pointing out the development that went into this because it was actually really cool. So the pictures you see here are this black cylinder piece is mostly hollow, and it's where the parafoil itself is stored in a folded state. And there's an ejection like puncher in here that's triggered by an electromagnet that pushes the parafoil out at a set time. And then also in the bottom down here, and I'll show you some more pictures in a second that make this make more sense, is a pair of servo and spools that are holding on to the lines of the parafoil. So once it's pushed out, then you can use software to pull on the two lines to guide its descent. So the reason it's attached to this thing up here and then to a drone here, this piece here is to attach to the drone, was so that we could do series of tests without actually putting it in a rocket. There was some packaging stuff that wasn't fully fleshed out, plus rocket launches are A, expensive, and B, not all that repeatable. You can do multiple, but it takes a lot of setup for each one. So the hope was to be able to do multiple drops kind of within the scope of the same day without having to buy a new rocket motor for each one and reprep a rocket. So this is actually the AeroNU octocopter. So this is kind of a good example of some cross collaboration between projects in the club. So this one here shows the puncher mechanism. So this cavity is where the parafoil is held, and then when we're ready, there's a signal that punches the parafoil out. And then down here, you can see a later test where we did that. So the parafoil is in there and it pops it out. So you can imagine that if this was pointing up and it had just come out of a rocket, that would punch that out, that the wind would cause this to unfold and it would be able to glide down. Okay, so I mentioned that I was going to get to this part. So COVID-19, this is no surprise to any of you that this probably has some effect on something because it has affected everything. So much like it's affected the way that we've done classes, this is going to affect how the club operates. So as I referenced, we're going to be doing full virtual meetings in the fall. The plan for that is to use Zoom like we're doing now. And then when we're getting more into teamwork, we'll use breakout rooms. As again, I might have mentioned to some of you guys in the track exploration period, it's going to be groups of 3. And then you and one other team of 3 will be sharing a mentor. So there'll be breakout rooms of 7 people each where you guys can do your work. We'll also have chats. So we have the Discord chat for Intro Mechatronics, and then we'll also have chats for your little pod of your mentor and 5 other peers where you can ask questions as well. We'll be filling this out as we go. The hope is that in the spring, we can do some more in-person stuff with building and testing and actually getting these things to fly in rockets. That is right now absolutely our intention, to get these things in the air. And I know that I assume that that's what you guys want. It's definitely what we want to see. So we will do everything we can to accommodate that and make that happen. As things go along, we're really going to be as flexible as we can to try to make this work. So yeah, as I mentioned before, please feel free to reach out with any questions, concerns, suggestions, etc. Because we want this to be the best experience it can be for you guys. Are you raising your hand because you have a question?
Yeah. How many times do you generally meet, like in a month or like in a week?
I think, did you ask how often we meet?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, your mic got quiet on you. So we're meeting once a week. It's going to be the same time every week, Wednesday at 8 to 10 is the plan. Groups can opt to do additional meetings outside of intro track time, but that's not like a requirement. That would just be the 3 students deciding amongst themselves that they'd like to do additional work and like to meet additionally. So that's kind of out of my hands and up to them. But from a intro administrative level, we're only meeting once a week, Wednesday 8 to 10. That answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So the semester timeline and plan. So September, so now is mainly introduction to the project. The end of September, so next week, and then into the first half of October, we're going to be doing the SolidWorks workshops. At the end of October, we'll release the main challenge details and begin the initial planning and brainstorming. In November, we'll be exploring some initial design concepts and doing more brainstorming. The PDR is on in November here, but it's actually in December, so that's my bad. In December, we will be doing prep for and then the presentations of PDR. For those of you who don't know, PDR is preliminary design review. It is one of 3 planned design reviews that we are have scheduled for this project. CDR, which is critical design review, and FRR, which is flight readiness review, being the last 2, but those 2 will happen in the spring. Don't worry, by PDR, you're not expected to have everything fleshed out. This is why it's preliminary, and it's just like initial ideas and concepts and where you guys are at. So that's kind of where we're planning on being by the end of this semester. And then in the spring, we're planning on doing some hands-on prototyping, building, iteration, prep for those CDR and FRR presentations, some additional testing, and then hopefully the launch. So the details of the challenge. So we're not giving the full details away now, but we're just kind of giving you guys a taste of what you can expect. So we're going to build and design rocket payload landers that fit into and interface with a 4-inch diameter intra-wireframe rocket. So they're planning on building those rockets in the spring as well. That was going to start in the fall, but similarly to us, they're not able to work in person. So that's why that's getting kicked to the spring. The lander is going to eject from the rocket, descend under a parachute, and land on the ground. There's going to be points for the orientation that it lands in. Then it's going to perform an action. I'm going to leave that vague for now, unless you have good eyes. You might be able to see possible hints on this page. And we're going to not threaten personal safety. That's a big one. We don't want anyone getting hurt. Hopefully, that'd be bad. And there'll be more details to come. So the expectations. The expectation is that you guys come to meetings and are staying engaged. You know, I get it if you've got other stuff going on, other homework and whatnot going on. Just please communicate about that sort of thing. This was written partially for in-person stuff, so like the talking during presentations and stuff is not as big of a deal now because you'll just have your mics muted. But yeah, being respectful of other people's ideas is super important. For those of you who have worked in design environments before, I'm sure you've heard this spiel, but you know, not telling people that their ideas are bad is generally important, and listening to even out of the box and weird ideas that maybe that won't work, but something, you know, based on it will. So just, you know, keep an open mind and be respectful of people's thoughts. Being positive and having fun, that's kind of a general club thing. We all try to stand by that. Remember, this is a club. At the end of the day, we're here to learn and have fun. So, you know, we want to maintain that attitude the whole time. And then asking questions. Ask questions to the mentors, ask questions to your peers, ask questions of me, ask questions all the time. That's how you learn the best. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to, you know, do some stuff the wrong way. And that's fine. We're here to learn. So if you have any questions about the club or even not the club, a lot of the mentors are, well, all of the mentors are older and have done stuff in the club before, have done stuff at the school before. So if you have any questions of any of us, please let us know. Okay, next up's Discord. So some of you are in Discord and some of you are not. It's like slightly better than a 50-50 split. So this link right here, and I'll drop this in the chat too, actually, is how to join the Discord. Will it let me do that? Let's find out. It will. Fun. Okay. Okay. That is the link to join the Discord. Please do so. I sent out an email chain to communicate with you guys for this meeting, but that was only because this was the first one. All club communication, intro, Redshift, fixed wing UAV, and just board in general, all happens in this one place. So please get in here because that's going to be the only way that I can actually reach you guys. There might be email blasts sent out for like really big events or something, but the vast majority of information will be here. So please join. Once you do, you will be sent into a channel that will ask you to change your name. So there's a feature in Discord called nicknames, for those of you who don't know, where you can set your name from your Discord name to your actual name. Please do that. In other Discords that are just like hang out with friends and whatnot, I know people have other names and whatnot, screen names, but in the AeroNU Discord, we ask that your nickname be set to your actual name so that we can tell each other apart. There's hundreds of people in the Discord, and the only way for us to actually manage and figuring out who is who is to have it set that way. So once that is set, there's a way you can just ping the e-board and they can set you to verified, and then you'll have access to the whole thing. And there you can find there's an intro general channel and there's an intro mechatronics channel. I've already posted some messages in there. There's also messages there from the whole summer as the mentors were preparing for this track. And the latest message in there, I think it's still the latest message in there, maybe it's second to latest or anything, is where I ask you guys if you have the intro mechatronics role. So Discord has a feature called roles. It's just a thing that's like a little tag that's added to your account. Once you have that, if I ping intro mechatronics, then all of you that have that tag will get that notification, which is super useful. So if you don't have that yet, which for those of you who just joined, you won't, just add a little rocket emoji to that message, and I will go in and add it to you. I know I just threw a bunch of information at you guys. If you don't remember all that, just send me a PM or post it somewhere. Someone will help you. Okay, I'm going to move off this page because it's in the chat. But yeah, we'll circle back to this because we're starting to get into account stuff. So the next thing is informational and group placement forms. So we are going to be dividing you guys starting, I don't believe next week, although maybe we'll see. Either next week or the week after into groups, into those groups of 3, and then 2 pairs of groups of 3, so 6. And that is going to be based on this form. So you guys will see in here that if you already have people that you know in the track that you want to be with, if you tell us that, and all of you tell us that, then we can accommodate that. So like if person A wants to be with person B and says that, but person B doesn't say they want to be with person A, then we're not going to do that. Just because we're trying to make sure that that's a mutual thing. These responses are anonymous, so yeah. It also asks about past experience and whatnot. We're using this partially just for our own information and partially for group formation. We're trying to make sure that groups have similarly matched interests, in that we don't put people who we don't think would end up fun. Okay, I will fix that. Give me a second. We want to make sure that the groups work well. So these questions are aimed at just making sure that they gel.
Scott, on the access thing, yeah, exactly. From what Sam said, you need to use your Northeastern account because it was made on a Northeastern email.
Okay, I can make it not need that.
Yeah, can you switch the permissions to be anyone with the link?
Yeah, I can. Hold on a second. Actually, Emma, can you do that because you made the form?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
And can you add another question that asks for emails, just so that? Actually, never mind. I have all the emails already. We don't need the emails. Okay. Once Emma gets that, how do I make that go away? Emma, once you get that, can you just put that in the chat?
You got it.
Cool. Thank you. All right, next is SolidWorks. So as I've referenced several times before, we're going to be using SolidWorks this semester. The next 3 weeks are dedicated to learning SolidWorks, and after that, you will still be using it extensively because that is what we design stuff in. So does anyone actually have SolidWorks yet? I'm guessing not. Oh, yeah, those of you who are club vets might. Yeah. So for those of you who don't, so the link here, which I will also put in the chat, is how you get it. So if you are not on campus, you will need a VPN to do this. I don't actually remember if in there it talks about the VPN. I think it does. So I'm actually going to give you guys a little. Yes, I know the VPN's awful. I know. You don't need a VPN to use SolidWorks. You just need the VPN to download it. Unless you're on campus, then you're good. I know it sucks. I know the SolidWorks install in general sucks. SolidWorks is big and clunky. And
yeah, the other thing is if you already have it, you still need to download the newest version because we're going to be trying to make it compatible with everybody else. So.
Yep.
Newest version being 2020. So if you're 2019, you need to download the new version.
That stands for Redshift too. Redshift has also switched over to 2020. So basically, if you're doing any club work, you got to be in 2020 now, or stuff won't work.
Yeah, same for NUAV.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, SolidWorks is like intentionally really bad about reverse compatibility. Like it's just not. Just because they hard coded that into their software. So if you're in 2019, you try to open a 2020 CAD file, you just can't. Despite the fact that like the CAD should be able to handle that. There's not that many new features. They turn that off in software so that you buy the new product.
I mean, the fundamental underlying engine, I think, has been the same for the last 15 years or something.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really change anything.
They add a couple features and supposedly remove bugs, although that's debatable.
There are plenty of bugs to go around still, but yeah, uninstall 2019 before you install 2020.
Also, good tip for reducing installation time. It's going to suggest that you install a certain suite of programs. At least for the first time, you're really not going to need all of them. So there will be some auto-selected, like SolidWorks Electrical, where you can design PCBs and like FlowSim and stuff like that. At least for the start, you're not going to need any of that stuff unless you just want to play around with it. So you can cut off a decent amount of time off the install by not installing those.
Leave FlowSim in, just in case we ended up doing that. And if you do other stuff in this club.
Are we doing FlowSim for this?
Well, AeroNU does a lot of FlowSim stuff, so it's probably not good advice for us to, in general, suggest to not do it.
It's not impossible.
Okay. Well, you can. My point is, you can always install FlowSim later.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah, you can it's an add-in, so you just go up to the tab at the top, and you're like, please, and it pops in. It doesn't take that long.
Okay.
Yeah, so because I know you can go and tell it to load the add-in, but you can go in there and tell it to actually install the add-in.
Yeah, if you don't have it, it'll just pop it in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
Figure it out.
Do any of you have Macs? Gotta ask the question. Okay.
Hey. Yeah,
so,
your options
admittedly,
are here.
this is not the best. So SolidWorks doesn't work on Mac. Sorry, go ahead.
I use VMware.
Okay, so you have Windows.
No.
Or access to Windows.
He's a second year, so he's already figured all this out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I know it could be a mess. I had to use a Mac at work. I'm not going to go on my canned rant about this, but it can be annoying.
Yeah, but Northeastern gives you the VMware software.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So, does anyone else that hasn't already gotten this set up have a Mac? Sweet. That is great. I don't have a Mac, so the process of doing this is something I'm somewhat unfamiliar with. So this makes it easier for me. All right. I'm going to keep going. There's not a ton left. But please do get that installed. If you're working on that now, that would be ideal, so we can help you if you run into a snag. It's worth noting that the beginning of next meeting, we're going to be starting with SolidWorks right away. So like before next meeting, you have to have SolidWorks if at all possible. If you don't get to it tonight and you need to reach out to one of us during the course of the next week, that's totally fine. Feel free to reach out to us in Discord, in yeah, Discord's probably the main way. You could email me too if you weren't in Discord yet for some reason. But we really need you guys to all have it by next Wednesday. Okay. All right. Oh, questions. I thought there was another slide. I guess there's not. Okay. So does anyone have any questions since the last time I asked about questions?
Yeah. I have a question about the license because I'm not from College of Engineering. And
Gotcha.
yeah, it says about there's only 500 installation. I haven't
Yes.
tried to get it yet, but I'm wondering if usually it should be fine.
Gotcha. So this is a new one for me. So I haven't actually fought the non-COE SolidWorks install thing before this semester. I believe Shayla sent me a thing that I can send to you that supposedly works. Let me dig and find that.
Are you in Discord yet?
And didn't you have some robotics folks that were in that same boat?
Yeah, the robotics doesn't get you the SolidWorks license.
No, I know. I just thought they were out of COE and you helped them get SolidWorks.
Oh, you're asking me specifically. I thought you were asking about the robotics minor. Yeah, so the easiest solution, if you can figure it out, is find someone in engineering who's not using all of their licenses, because we all get, what is it, 2? We get 2?
Three.
We all get 3 licenses. So like, for people who only have a laptop, like I'm sure there's other people in this group who could log in and get you a code.
That is
If you
probably
coordinate
true.
through Discord, and that's the easiest way to do it. That's how I've done it in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah, I guess I will try with the 500 license, see if they're still there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's fair. Because I don't know how many non-COE people request licenses. Like, obviously, there are some like yourself, but I don't know if there would be 500.
Yeah.
But I could be surprised. I don't know. I'm looking for that link now. Is anyone having any trouble with this anyone else having trouble with the SolidWorks stuff right now? Or is that kind of progressing okay? Is for the COE login? Is that the question? Oh boy. Does anyone know that answer?
Also, I checked to make sure your
advisor
username is
can.
correct.
Yeah, I think your advisor can reset it for you. So if you send your academic advisor an email, they can do it. I have been bailed out several times by Chrome autofill remembering this. It's really dumb because it's an account you almost never use. Like the COE accounts are just never used. So
Yeah, check to make sure your new username is right too, because it's not going to be like your first name dot, or it's not going to be your last name dot first initial or whatever. It's COE is actually your first name dot the first number of letters of your last name.
There. No,
Is it? Oh yeah.
Mine's just A. Gehring.
Yeah, mine's P.
Oh,
Welcome.
right. Okay. Yeah, mine is like P. Fitzgerald. It doesn't go all the way. So that's usually the issue, not the password. But if you do forget your password, yeah, you got to go to your advisor or something. The computer lab and Chanel engineering.
oops.
Yeah.
I didn't try to do this. Yeah, sorry. Jeffrey, what were you asking? Oh, interesting.
Cool.
So that's a thing? That's news to me. Cool. Well, that's good to know.
Freshman year, I had a class there, and I would run, and you had to set it up there. And I remember running to issues that because I remember having a problem and having to go and change it because I know that my username for the COE is not what I was originally given. It got changed. So I'm pretty sure you can do it there. But then today, I was like, crap, what is my password? And I found a note from like 2 years ago on my phone. I'm like, oh, that was convenient. I wrote that down then.
Yeah, so the link I just posted is how you can get it. If you're not COE, that's the 500 license thing. I don't know firsthand how well that works. Supposedly it works. If you run into issues, let me know, and I can ask people that have done this. When I say Discord role, is that at like specific club position? So that's just anybody who's in intro mechatronics gets the role of intro mechatronics, just as a way for me to tag you all. So you'll get notifications when I post stuff in Discord about this track. That's all it means. Yep. So the way you can get 2020 is the link I have here. And I think it posted earlier up in the chat. Yeah, I did. If you click that link, it will walk you through logging into your COE account and then downloading the new version of Solidworks with the activation key. The website itself actually gives you all the instructions, but as previously noted, you should uninstall 19 before you install 20. I actually didn't do that, and it somehow worked.
Yeah,
I've heard stories that it's
does
an
it.
issue.
Yeah, it usually brings up. It says, "I've detected 2019 on this machine. Would you like to replace it with 2020?"
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've always just done it that way, but I've heard horror stories of things, so
It can go wrong. It's cleaner to uninstall it manually, but
yeah.
I mean, you can also install them both simultaneously.
So I've never had that actually work. My license my Northeastern license. That actually might work through FRC licenses, but I think your Northeastern license becomes deactivated as soon as you request the new one, or something like that. So it doesn't really work that way.
I know I had 2018 and just did this today, and it would not. That license had already run out. I think it just ran out once 20 came out.
Yeah, it does. It's supposed to be a year or like some date, whichever comes sooner, but it's actually whichever comes later. So that always just ends up being that date. So the 2020 license, I activated it in like late August. So theoretically it should expire in late August 2021, but it actually expires like August 30th of 2022 for some reason, which I'll take because I'll be graduated and I'll just hold on to that license. It'll be great. Yeah. So real quick, next meeting will be next Wednesday from 8 to 10, and that's going to be SolidWorks Workshop 1, as I've referenced. So that's going to be Bryce presenting next time on that. He's worked pretty hard on that presentation for you guys. So we will go through that there. Just so you guys know, I will be here till 10. Most of the meetings will span the entire 2 hours. This one, I didn't really know how long it was going to go because it just kind of depended on how fast the introductions and stuff went and how many issues we ran into. We actually didn't run into too many issues so far, so that's great. So yeah, I'll be sticking around. If you guys have to go for some reason, you totally can. If you get SolidWorks installed and you're all set, then you're free to go if you want. For those of you who don't have SolidWorks installed, I would encourage you to stick around and work on the SolidWorks install. But again, if you have other things, I can totally understand. Just make sure you get it installed by next meeting, and you'll be all set. But aside from answering questions, I'm just going to kind of be here chatting with you guys. If you guys just want to hang around and chat too, that's cool. Again, like to get to know you guys. So yeah. I'm probably going to stop the recording now because this is the part that other people would need to watch. So